Yeah. I thought it was overall really great. I think it's cool that you've gotten more into, I love that visual again. I don't know who's joining your group, but more people. But
she and...
Fantastic. No? I need to ask one question first. What's with the stickers?
It's a mark of Slovakia.
So, in the beginning of this first page, which was also what we said in the initial feedback, I get a little bit confused about what you're going to tell me. No, everybody. So, on the first page, when there's like this points 1 to 5, somehow you could frame it a little better and sort of say why you're explaining this, and then I'd also think it would be great if you had a name for your company, so that I could know what company it is.
We haven't got company.
What?
We haven't got a company.
We can't.
No. Doesn't matter. We're doing a presentation about a company and it has to have a name. And so you just make one up and it's going to be the best name for the best company.
And one day maybe you're going to get this company.
Maybe you're going to make the company, yeah. So otherwise, yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I think it worked really well with all of you presenting, and if somebody screws up on stage, support them. Help them out if they forget something or whatever. Like you did. I think that was great that you supported. And just sort of like, because it's everybody's company, not just individual.
Okay, I think the beginning, everything was so tight. In the end, you were a little more, you're laughing and you were starting to relax. And actually, it's a little bit of shame because I get confused. I'm like, what are they laughing about? What is funny? Because I think it's so good, and I think your presentation is so sharp that don't laugh. It confuses me. And then I think that the idea about putting the blue ones on the paper, why? So nice. It's so far that you actually got to why are we doing this. So, or I think you're sharp, I think you are damn good. That's it.
Yes, I don't have that much to add. I think it's great. What I thought was really good is you started it with the 5 lines. You repeated the question like, why is this product meaningful? I think you started with. That is a really good leading question because it gives a lot of context to what you're saying afterwards. So you could think of repeating the question, not why is it meaningful, but how are we going to learn, and that you repeat the questions that are related to what you're saying. That frames it very nicely. Had the same with the great build-up with the visuals, and I think it was very nice when you did the why that you all of a sudden said why. You brought a lot of energy into it. That was really cool. And then I think you could think of, you don't have to present it, but just to be aware of that people might ask you after the presentation, what could you do in the meantime that the trees are growing? What else could you do in order to make the business going while you're waiting that the trees grow up?
Cool. Yes. I would like, in the beginning, I thought it was a great presentation, 1. 2, a little bit more context in the beginning. I really like that I get your names, and then a little bit, we're from a school here.
I wanted to tell it,
okay.
But we prepared it like I will tell like we are from this and this school, but then we can't have this and this company because of the government and things like that. But I don't know what happened.
Okay. Put that back in, because I think that gives a little context. And then, as Simon says, the name. And then, when you do that, be aware that you're saying, we will spread it. And you could get a question saying, then how will you do that? Just have that in mind. How will you get it to other schools? How will you then get it to the whole of Bratislava and then Slovakia? Have that in mind. And then I'm thinking, the first page you have, maybe you should just have the second picture, the first picture, the second slide, as the picture while you talk about these things. Yeah. Or maybe you talk about the picture before you talk about the 5 ideas. Yeah. Think in mind, because then I know a little bit more about it, what it is, before you say these things. My last point is to, because there are people from EU sitting there, and I think, be courageous and say, so what we need from you guys to make this company is that you find out how can we make a school company in Slovakia? Because that's their responsibility. So demand something from them in the end and say, hey, look at our idea.
Yeah.
We have to do it. Sorry.
Exactly my point. That you demand something from them and say, yeah, what she just said. You know. Go in there, tell them we can't make a company, but if we could, and we will, if you let us, this is how we're gonna do it. Tell them that vision. Again, it's like you have that vision, but you're also gonna know the steps to get there. And your first step is to find out how you can get to make a business. And that might be what could come out of tomorrow. I mean, it's a long bureaucracy. It might not happen tomorrow or next year, but at some point it will happen. And you could be the first to trigger that change. So this is really where you look at the drawing and it says, you can be the change. Because you can with this thing. And it's a great idea. And you guys show it tomorrow.
Bing, bing, bing. Stop. I'd like to have a joker card.
Yeah, but just for your,
Yeah.
yes, you can do
Go
that.
ahead.
For your information, the presentation lasted 7.5 minutes. So you also have a couple of more minutes to say this. Good, Joker?
I'd like to ask whether you can be more specific about your product. There is 180 different varieties of apples in Germany, but in the supermarkets there used to be only 5. Green Granny Smith, Golden Delicious, and another one. Now in some supermarkets here I find more varieties, and they have very special taste. So what kind of apples would you choose? And if it's about growing new trees that start really small, maybe there are somewhere old trees. I don't know. In eastern Germany, there's a lot of old farms. Nobody works there anymore. And they have 50 old apple trees. Old kinds of apples, maybe. So this might be an idea to get a cheap raw resource for your product. And maybe even for your identity and for your advertising that makes you unique. You know? And the way you design the packaging around your company or your product. That's just an idea. I think you're in a very special position that you could think of such a thing.
Now we have to hurt because they're waiting.
Thank you. Yes.